All right, I do believe we're live. I am Jason, aka Comics Misexplained, also with my co-host John, Comics with Kids. Say hi, John.
I'm here. Hello, everybody. I'm sorry I'm traveling. If I go in and out, my apologies to Daniel and to Jason and the audience. But very excited for this interview.
Awesome. And then our other usual co-host, JD, is on vacation. He just sent us a picture. He's on the beach kicking it, having a good time. So we're missing him, but hey, much fun. Get a tan for me. And then here tonight we have a special, awesome guest, Mr. Daniel Kibblesmith, the writer of Loki, which came out today. Say what's up, Daniel.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me. This is thrilling. I've never participated in a podcast or a YouTube show or anything that involved a moving vehicle. So this is really
awesome. Fantastic, man. That's awesome. Dude, I'm so stoked to make this work out. I'm a big fan of your stuff and your writing and comedy in general. I think you're just like a hilarious person. Your roots were your roots were like what, stand-up comedy? Is that how you started?
Not really. I mean, I've done stand-up, but I'm more like sketch. It was always really with a focus on writing. I always felt more comfortable kind of writing things, scripting things out and putting it on the internet. But yeah, sketch. I did a lot of YouTube videos back when YouTube became a thing the first time, because I went to film school. I got out around 2005, 2006. Oh, so I did put YouTube videos online and showed them in clubs. And started making friends with like local stand-ups and sketch comedians, and took classes at Second City, all the stuff you do when you're in Chicago and you like comedy. So, but always kind of circling back to writing and trying to do scripted stuff.
Yeah, because now you write for the Colbert Report, and you've been doing that for a while.
Yeah. It's the new one. It's the Late Show.
Yeah, it's so awesome.
I'm also a big Colbert Report fan, but I didn't start until the jump to CBS. I do that every day. Yeah.
How'd you make the transition from writing for a show to comic books? I feel like most people go from comic books to like writing a show or a movie, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's the more traditional path, and probably more lucrative. I always wanted to do comics. Like I was saying, I went to film school, and everything that I was trying to do in film school was narrative driven. And the idea is I got this job as a projectionist, and I thought like, I'm going to watch every movie. And then I actually got to the theater and realized that the projector was like right next to your head, so you couldn't see anything, and the window was like 7 inches, was big, and it was also like chest level, so you had to bend over to watch any of the movies when the projector was right in your ear. So what actually ended up happening was around that time was when my friends who had stuck with comics. I kind of grew up reading comics and fell off during the 90s when it got really expensive and confusing, and came back to it kind of late high school and college with like catching up on all the Vertigo stuff and like the seminal late 80s stuff that I had missed, and just started pursuing it alongside movies, alongside comedy, just another creative avenue that I was passionate about, because you kind of never know what you're going to have the opportunity to do professionally when you're starting out, and you also have different kinds of ideas and different kinds of stories, and different mediums are appropriate for them.
For sure, that's awesome. Do you have any plans to maybe combine different mediums in the future? I know you've been writing for Marvel a lot recently. Recently did Deadpool versus Black Panther, which is awesome.
Yeah, the mini right before this. Yeah,
Lockjaw previously.
Also.
Do you have any like plans to do maybe some like maybe independent stuff like Image, or maybe a Kickstarter or something?
I'd like to. I'd like to do a creator-owned thing. It's really just time, because writing for a daily or nightly talk show really I don't think it's shocking anybody. Sure. Yeah, it takes the day, to make the daily show. So in that case, literally the daily show takes a day.
I can't even imagine. Like I make a lot of memes for a lot of different pages, probably like 20 different pages. And some of them were expected to make stuff every day. Then everyone kind of got lackadaisical. And it was like, let's just do it when we can. And I can't even make a little small image like 24 hours, like every day, So I can't even imagine writing a whole entire show or sections and bits like every day.
I mean, obviously,
very commendable. Very
like,
commendable.
The team, you know, like obviously we have a incredible staff of like talented geniuses. But yeah, it's a lot. So the comics writing is kind of like a nights and weekends job right now. Or you know, if I can like sneak away like 15 minutes, you know, I do a lot of the writing kind of like incidentally. Like I'll get ideas like in the shower or in the gym or things like that. So you're kind of it's sort of like an always on lifestyle. Where when I'm able to like break story in this kind of organic way, when I'm just like walking down the street, then I can write it in a notebook or on my phone, and then when I have a couple 3 hours on Saturday, you know, then you do the actual like fleshing out of the actual scripting.
Do you have any like independent stories in mind we can maybe keep out on the lookout for the future?
Yeah, nothing I wanna share, because if either it happens and then it's not a surprise, or it doesn't happen and people are like, oh, what happened to that thing? That sounded like it was gonna be my favorite comic ever, and then it never came out. But if I was ever not in if I was never not working on a show that came out every day, you know, if I was ever working on like a narrative TV show or something like that, then yeah, I might have time to recalibrate my schedule a little bit. But yeah, I mean, lots of comic writers have other jobs, and you know, lots of creators in general have day jobs. I think it just really forces you to prioritize the things that you're passionate about and be really responsible about deadlines.
For sure, absolutely. I know John here has been really getting into Valiant comics recently.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, and I didn't talk to John yet, but like I really want to recommend your run of Quantum and Woody.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah, I have like probably almost every cover and every variant except for like the very, very rare, like super expensive ones, you know, like there's like one or two that were like, I think
there's
5
serious ones. But that Valiant that's one of the things I really love about Valiant, is that so early in my career, I was able to have their variant cover game is next level. The fact that I could write a comic that had like a Peter Bag cover.
This is the first like meme cover I've ever seen, like ever. So of course I had to get it as a meme guy, but like
sure,
it's just like so cool, because now, you know, there was a one recently where they kind of, you know, had the one with the girl walking past, and two, you know, the guy and the girl looking back at the one girl.
Oh, did they do another? They did another meme cover. Valiant?
Yeah, it wasn't Valiant though. I think it was Marvel that might have done it. Maybe it was
kidding.
DC. It was DC with Superboy.
Oh, that's hysterical.
Yeah,
oh man, that's really really funny.
So, but
yeah, that was
a big deal. Everyone bought that, you know, but that was the first time I saw like a meme cover was Valiant Comics your run, and it's this run, John. I know you're there in the car, but like I highly recommend checking out Quantum and Woody. His run is like one of the most fun I've had reading comics. And like
I'm just trying to get started on the whole Valiant thing, because I've just picked up Harbinger and Divinity and some of the trades. I'm just trying to start like getting to know that universe, but I'd totally be pumped to get more.
Oh, dude, you'll have a blast, and I think your kids will love it too. The art is amazing, Kano, and the panel layouts are just out of this world.
He's incredible.
Do you guys keep in touch with like other old, you know, different people you've worked at through the past, and maybe make plans to work together again in the future?
Yeah, it depends, because I don't go to like a lot of cons and stuff, so I tend to talk to people on Twitter quite a bit. And it's not as necessary for me to sort of like brainstorm with people, because I know that my time is kind of spent already. But I stay like friends with everybody that I can. And the artist who drew Black Panther versus Deadpool, Ricardo Lopez Ortiz, he's incredible.
Yes.
And he lives pretty close to me, and I bought the page. I bought the last page of Black Panther versus Deadpool #1, and I have to go pick it up, and it's been like months just because we're busy. Yeah. And he's, you know, it's a walk away.
Wow.
So I gotta go get that page and meet his dog as well, because he's a very Instagrammable dog.
Speaking of dogs, your run of Lockjaw was a lot of fun as well, and of course I have it on hand. But my favorite cover was, of course, the mod one that I got you to sign at C2E2.
Yeah, fantastic. It's so good. That also had some really incredible variants.
I want to talk about a little bit about the Lockjaw litter.
That's kind of that's like the A story.
Yeah, can we maybe expect some of your, like, you know, more created owned characters in different stories in the future? I know Donny Cates loves to do that. Bendis loves to do that. You know, I'm
yeah,
saying,
I want to.
should we expect Loki? You know, the leader in Loki. You know, maybe coming up, save the day, teleport him somewhere.
Yeah, I would love to do something like that. And I think that at Marvel, everybody has always had their favorite characters. You know, like if you go back and read stuff from the 60s and 70s, you can see that people are kind of like resurrecting characters that have been killed, because they're not dead to them,
right?
And having favorites and making sure all their favorites meet each other and get to play in the same sandbox. I think it's a little early for me to ask my editors to be able to do that. You know what I mean? It's a little. I want to do as many Marvel comics as I can, as many Marvel characters as I can, and I definitely don't want people to pick up, Loki #2 and be like, hey, he's just doing Lockjaw again. I already read that, So I think Loki's going to be a bigger universe, a much bigger universe for the time being. But if I get the opportunity, I definitely. I know stuff about those dogs that didn't make it into the Lockjaw miniseries.
I love that you made him as like a dog Inhuman and not like a man Inhuman. You know, there's a big controversy there.
Oh yeah, no, we set that straight. Yeah, and that's when I think about like people getting to like tweak the mythology and stuff, that was something that had already been retconned. I want to say Peter David in X Factor they rewrote that so that it was a prank that was being played on Quicksilver by Ben and Johnny by Human Torch. I think if I have that right, because one of the things that me and the editors really wanted to set straight was that Lockjaw's a dog. He's clearly a dog. I think the line is in the comic, like, no, he's clearly a dog.
Yes.
Don't overthink it. Don't.
Yeah, people are like, that's a little weird. Yeah.
This one, yeah, he's just. I mean, obviously he's a dog. So what are you worried about? Why would you want him not to be a dog? Dogs are great.
Yeah, I'm just glad that's all cleared up, in my mind. And to bring it back to creator-owned characters, I like to see more of the Kibblesmith universe as well out there eventually,
that would be fun. Me too, but
Loki is the true first of Frosty, right? So we got Frosty,
the
new Snowvet. I also like the Loki's little frost giant buddy. You've got these great
Durf,
great little side characters that I think, at least for me, I was laughing a bunch at the little side characters, and then I was giving a compliment earlier before we started. I think one of the hardest things to do is to get two characters that are so different their own voices, and I think Thor and Loki have such perfect voice. I could hear Hemsworth and Hiddleston almost when they spoke. It was so phenomenal that you did such a great job of getting their voices spot on. Was that something really difficult for you to kind of find both of those characters?
No, I mean, apparently not. But that's a huge compliment. I think that I definitely approached it. I wasn't really a Thor guy growing up and reading comics. I was always more into the sort of Spider-Man, Daredevil, jumping around in New York City comics. And Thor it was so big and it was so hard to wrap my head around. It was this whole other Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones thing. But Loki, his personality is so strong, and his point of view and his goals are so kind of self-contained and intrinsic to him that he's a really good entry point for the Asgardian stuff. So I ended up reading, a lot of Thor and all of the Loki solo, all of the Loki Volume 1, Loki Volume 2 miniseries is things in preparation for this, obviously, and that made me a giant, Thor and Loki and their extended cast fan, obviously, and hopefully it comes through that I love these characters.
Yeah.
But in terms of getting the voices, I think it's a combination of doing that reading, of falling in love with the comics, but also like everybody else who's seen the movies for the past 11 years, and really getting to know these personified versions that are so endeared to people, and then synthesizing what I love about the movies and the charisma of Tom Hiddleston and Chris Hemsworth, and merging that with the comics versions that I also love, and have had so many creative voices contributing to them. Giving people something that whichever direction they're coming from is going to feel familiar and accessible, but then like having it be bigger than one comic, or bigger than the voices in the movie.
Well, it does, I think, in a big way, because obviously coming out of Aaron's War of the Realms and having all these huge event moments happening, and then now you have these two kings, you got each of them with their own throne. I think it was larger than life where these characters are now, certainly bigger than the movies. Was it kind of fun to play in that big pond, as it were?
Yeah, I think it's brilliant. I think Jason Aaron is, I was such a big fan of that guy for so long. And then when he got Thor, that's when I started reading it more seriously. There was a run of I was a big Matt Fraction fan as well, and he was doing some Thor, and he kind of brought me into that world. And then Jason Aaron picked it up immediately afterwards. And Kieran Gillen, I also was a big fan of, because I kind of found him through his creator stuff. And then I said, oh, he's on X-Men now, so I'm going to read his X-Men. And then both of those guys kind of fed into Thor, and I followed them. I think Aaron has such a good sense of the mythic, and the fact that he did this huge war where the scoundrel character is eaten by his own father and then bursts forth, is reborn in blood. And then he and his foster brother from different species are ruling the two thrones, having killed one of their birth fathers, and finally proven themselves worthy in the eyes of their other father. And that's a story you could have told 1,000 years ago. Like, that is a story that doesn't rely on any modern storytelling trope or conviction or any set dressing. And it's so pure.
Yes.
And the fact that he left it in that place for me is this huge gift, because it's just direct. It speaks to something primal in the reader.
Also, with the mythos, I really love what he's doing with Conan the Barbarian. I think that's one of my favorite reads.
I haven't gotten to it yet, and that's another thing that I didn't read those, because I was reading about the guys in spandex on fire.
Right. Yeah, it was funny because when Loki burst out of the stomach, I forgot that happened, because when he went in, it was issue 1, and then when he came out, it was at the end.
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
It's a good
Yeah, I was like, why did Daredevil throw the sword in there? And then oh yeah, Loki's in there.
Oh, it's so great. Yeah, and then you have Daredevil, who is a blind man dressed as a demon with the sight.
God Without Fear, amazing. I would love to see a God Without Fear miniseries. Just continue that,
Yeah, the Kingpin fights the War Scrolls was next level. Amazing. So things like that. That's a story you could tell around a campfire, that there's a man who dresses as a demon, and he's blind, but he's the greatest the greatest swordsman.
I think you're such a tasteful, perfect time comedian, in your own right, in your own mediums. Just the opening with the throne, with Loki has a note that says "Be right back." I just laughed so hard immediately. I was like, "Wow, that's classic Kibblesmith."
Well, it's just it's very much what the story is about. Explicitly, it's about what happens after Happily Ever After.
Yes.
And some people have asked me oh, are you doing a riff on Frozen, or is Loki Elsa now? And it's yeah, kinda. Yeah, he lives in an ice kingdom. He's this bachelor king. He looks great in sparkly dresses. So yeah, there's a lot of overlap between Loki and Elsa. They're both Disney properties.
Yeah, totally. Awesome. He's the new Disney princess. I like it.
Yeah, when he's Lady Loki.
And wouldn't we all want to see Loki as a Disney princess? Wouldn't we all want to watch that?
Oh yeah.
I think the next time you see Lady Loki, that will technically make her a Disney princess. I think or if it may have happened already. Whatever the Lady Loki appearance after the Disney merger was, Loki became a Disney princess.
Yes. Can I ask you, the antagonist, Nightmare? The last time we saw him was in Avengers: No Surrender, and I love that character. I love just dark stuff in general. Nightmarish, kind of Scarecrow, esque dreams, and Mysterio. New Spider-Man, kind of weird. avant-garde kind of scary scenes.
Yeah.
So fun. And so I love Nightmare as a character. What made you pick him as the antagonist?
We were talking about, I think it was my editor, Will Moss, suggested Nightmare because we were talking about wanting to do a very Loki-like villain, somebody who felt like his kind of peer and his equal. And Nightmare is a really interesting choice because he kind of mirrors Loki in a lot of ways. He's Doctor Strange's Loki, kind of. Like he's this kind of like, skinny goblin-like, they're kind of like, Nightmare is like Labyrinth David Bowie, and, and the way we're doing Loki is more of like a Ziggy Stardust,
Right on, sweet.
Like a cool, like a cool 70s Bowie. So I thought that was really interesting. I also thought that Nightmare was somebody who's like really close to breaking as a big bad. Like if they do another Doctor Strange movie, Nightmare would be a very logical choice.
Yes, he's very underrated in my opinion. I was so excited to see him again.
Yeah, and has been for a long time. Like he's always there, and he's a heavy hitter in theory. But I think we all just kind of thought of him as a character with a lot of potential that hadn't really like broken yet. As like, the way like a Thanos, has to break and has to like start having those like big like world beater moments. So yeah, he just seemed like the most logical choice for a Loki starting place. That he would fight somebody like Nightmare because that's kind of what his role is in the Marvel.
Right.
They know each other already. They've done this before. So if you're building a rogues gallery with Loki, and you want to start with kind of like a classic.
Oh man, I like that. I love thinking of like a Loki rogues gallery. That's such a cool idea.
So the first guy you see in issue 1 is Thor, like the first like Loki supporting character, and that's in a Loki book, Thor is a supporting character. So you see Thor, and then the next like familiar character you see is Nightmare. So I think we're just kind of like starting with what everybody knows and loves about the character and just widening the circle. And one of the things that I think we're all really excited about doing is seeing how big that circle can get, because he's a character who, he hangs out with Mephisto, but he also hangs out with Squirrel Girl. So he can kind of do whatever,
Sure.
So if we have an idea and we think it's, funny or interesting or resonant, or is, going to tug at the heartstrings in the right way, we're just going to do it because Loki can walk in any world.
That is awesome. I love the letter that you had at the end to the readers. Also, if anyone has a chat for the name of the Loki letters page, if anyone has any clever puns, please type it out in the live feed.
It just came out today, so you have to send it to the email address and mark it okay to publish.
Yes, mheroes@marvel.com. And make Mark okay to print. I love the part in the letter where you said Loki is a story about the kids who really try to do everything right and still get punished for it. Those kids shut up their minds. They kind of speak first before they act. Can you maybe delve into more of that kind of mindset?
Yeah, I mean that's what I won't give away the personal story that's in the letter, but
that's hilarious, so funny. I think we've all had our moments like that too.
And since it came out, people have started telling me about these things that happen to them, usually when they're kids, where they did everything right because they've been told that they live in this really black and white universe with really like rigid rules, and then they follow the letter of the law, but because they're kids, they don't have the sort of like the sophistication or the emotional intelligence, or in some cases the cynicism to break the rules, and they end up getting punished even though they did everything that they were supposed to be doing. And all of those like really early like Loki flashback stories, like not kid Loki, but actual Loki as a child, hanging out with like young Thor and Odin, he is following his nature, which they knew what he was when they brought him home. And he's often trying his best. He knows that he's the cleverest person there, and he's helping. He thinks he's helping most of the time.
Yeah, right. For sure.
And you kick somebody like that long enough, then you're the one who's telling them that they're a villain. You are creating the bad guy. So I think that it's admirable that people then don't become bullies and then don't turn it into violence. And Loki's a character who became a villain, like
right.
One of the Marvel
and redeemed and back and forth over and over.
Yeah, and he's caught in a cycle. So I think that in real life, it's admirable that people who feel that way don't then become villainous.
Right, or at least stay that way. Yeah.
Right. Right. But I understand the temptation and like what it can do to your self-esteem. And I really wanted to do a story about somebody who's too clever for their own good, just really trying to make it right.
Sure, that's so awesome. For issue 2, we have a little preview of the Iron Man standing over Loki. Can you give us a little teaser, maybe of?
Yeah, I'll tell you exactly what happens. Loki goes to Iron Man's house.
Ooh.
And he gets yelled at.
He gets scolded immediately.
He's not, because why would he do that? That's a terrible idea.
Yeah, bad idea. That's awesome.
Not good.
Before we depart our ways, is there anything that you've been reading in particular that you've been enjoying a lot?
Oh, that's a great question. I've obviously caught up on all of the Loki research. Oh, I'm reading my friend and sometimes co-writer Elliot Rahal, who picked up Quantum and Woody right after me.
Awesome.
Yeah, he has a creator-owned miniseries that came out in paperback called Hot Lunch Special.
Yes,
it's
I remember that.
Really good. Yeah, it's like a Midwestern Sopranos.
For sure, absolutely.
With this Arab American family, and I know Elliot a little bit, and there's like some fun kind of autobiographical stuff in there, but I don't think he's from a family of gangsters. But now I kind of think he might be.
Right.
So I read the first issue when it came out, and it's in paperback, so I'm rereading it now, and I can't recommend it more highly.
That's awesome.
The other thing that I really loved that I'm not quite finished yet is Sam Humphries and Jen Bartel's Blackbird.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, which if you like The Wicked and the Divine, or if you just love either of those creators, like if you follow Jen on social media and see all the insane artwork that she makes, like it's such a gift whenever she does interiors. So I would say those are 2 picks, recent picks that have been in my backpack lately.
Very cool. I heard good things about Little Bird, a new series that just ended today. It's a 5 miniseries issue, 5 issues.
Oh yeah, no, I don't know it.
I heard good things about that. So I'm going to read them all. I think maybe tonight or tomorrow. My favorite book on the shelf right now is Gideon Falls by Jeff Lemire. If you're a fan of Twin Peaks, the show at all, it has a lot of references. It's so good, and it's just out of this world. And his Black Hammer is really good too.
Black Hammer is next level.
He had the Justice League crossover recently, so I kind of reread like Volume 1, Volume 2, all the Age of Doom issues, and then the Justice League crossover. And it's very good, but that takes place during Volume 1 and Volume 2 of Black Hammer, not the Age of Doom stuff. But it's so good. I love Jeff Lemire. He's one of my favorite writers. But yeah, Gideon Falls, I would like to push on.
No, not at all. Yeah,
very cool. Well, thank you for joining us. It's so awesome, man. I was so stoked to talk to you, to have you on here. I've talked to you in person. I met you at C2E2, and I hope you go to more conventions, man.
I'm trying. It's a job. I got some jobs.
Oh yeah, yeah. I know you're so busy. We appreciate your time. We are going to be at Baltimore Comic Con. All of us on this channel in general, Comic Core. We're a collective of like probably 20 guys or so, 20 people. But we'll be at Baltimore Comic Con with a booth like we were at C2E2. We were with Chuckload of Comics doing interviews the whole entire time. This 24/7 like broadcasting, and that's when I tried to get you on there. But I'm very glad that we can do this. Yes, I'm so glad to have you here. John, do you want to say something?
No, I just want to thank you for taking the time. It's much appreciated, and good luck on finishing this run. I'm excited to read it.
Yes.
Yeah, and then thanks for supporting it. We just want to keep doing it as long as we can. If I can do 50 issues, if I can do 100 issues, I think it's a character who has that many stories and more.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thanks you for joining us. John and I are going to continue our show. It's up to you if you want to hang out or not. I'm sure you have plenty of things to do. Yeah, we're going to continue our show with our current reads real quick, and then end out in a couple of minutes. But once again, thanks again for joining us, and we're just so lucky to have you, man.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, see you next time. Bye.
See you, Dan. Daniel Kibblesmith, ladies and gentlemen. How awesome was that? He's such a cool guy.
That was freaking cool, man. Hey, and shout out to Jason for organizing this and putting it together, despite all of his Unlimited brothers blowing it in so many epic ways. Dude, that was epic. That was so awesome.
Awesome, man. I'm just glad we can make it work. I think the big trouble was trying to figure out Google Hangouts and all the YouTube mess. But yeah, I mean, John, what'd you picked up a couple books today, didn't you?
I got to turn my mic back on and off here. Sorry. I picked up an insane ton of books today, and I brought a handful of them with me on my trip here. Of course, got the Immortal Hulk.
Oh, hell yeah.
Immortal Hulk. It's just so good.
Did you read it?
Yep. No, I have not had time to read. I've only read 4 books today.
Dude,
I read the new Batman, which I left at home.
Oh, boy.
You said read it. You said it's bizarre.
What do you think of it?
It's bizarre.
Isn't that so weird?
It's weird, but I like it better than a whole lot of what he's done up to now.
For sure. It was more intriguing at least.
I'm still keeping my hope, and it's going to make me want to get 76. So I read that one. I haven't read Daredevil yet. I got Daredevil.
I'm definitely going to continue to read it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I just started. I got a couple pages in Daredevil.
Yeah. Of course, I got Loki. Here he is.
Oh, hell yeah. There it is. People, everyone buy Loki, please.
It was really funny. I really enjoyed it. Let's see here. I got Reaver and Second Coming from last week. I snagged those indie books. Tonight for book club, we're doing Jimmy Olsen. So I snagged Jimmy Olsen by Matt Fraction.
What do you think of Jimmy Olsen for us here on this channel real quick?
I enjoyed it. I didn't hate it, although it wasn't as near as good as Lois Lane, which I loved.
I think Lois Lane was way superior over this Jimmy Olsen book,
Definitely.
But this one was like the epitome of bizarre. It's really goofy, slapstick, and kind of classic in a way with its writing.
Definitely a throwback.
Yeah, for sure.
It even copies some of the King Kirby style of like lots of short little stories.
Yeah. I don't know if I could say I enjoyed it. I think I was more frustrated the whole entire way. One, because it was so wordy. And then
it's very talky.
Yeah, a lot of boxes, a lot of inner dialogue, and then talky. But it wasn't like that compelling for me. It didn't like I guess they're setting him up for issue 2 where he can go on his adventures and do things. And why they want to get him out of the city. So I understand that. So I might give second issue a chance.
Have you read much of the original Kirby stuff?
Yeah.
Like I have the Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because it felt like a throwback to that, and I enjoyed that.
Absolutely. Yeah, it totally is. It did its job, for sure.
You mentioned Little Bird. I got the last 2 issues because I haven't read the 4th one yet, so I'm reading 4 and 5. And then I got Vampirella. Mainly because I want to get the Art Germ color cover for next week or next month, and I want to be able to read issues 1 and 2. I read what I buy. I'm not going to just buy it. I'm not going to buy it just for the pretty lady on the cover.
Yeah, I mainly, I mainly collect the old school Vampirellas, specifically the Enric covers, because I think he's one of my underrated best artists out there that ever existed. And his covers on Vampirella are just another level that stand the test of time. But with this current Vampirella run, number 1, it's written by Christopher Priest, so I'm very excited to check it out. Should be like finally a decent writer, I think, on the title. 2, all the covers are amazing.
The show cover.
Pretty sure I pre-ordered the Frank Cho cover. I'm pretty sure I pre-ordered the Art Germ cover. After that, I got really blurry. I forgot which ones I ordered. And I really want to get the one you have there, the Alex Ross one for sure. I might have ordered that too, but I can't remember. So I'll find out in a couple of days when things get in the mail, and then I'll buy it.
Yeah, my LCS didn't have a lot of the Ross covers. They had a whole bunch of the Cho covers, and looking at them both up close, I had to go with the Ross cover.
Oh, for sure.
Hey, is anybody in the chat? I can't check the chat. How's the chat doing
tonight? I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, I meant to shout the chat out right.
Thanks everybody for coming and hanging with us. I know the format was a little different, but I thought it was pretty epic. That was a really great interview.
Yeah, for sure. Let me start refresh the chat so it doesn't show everyone, so I apologize for that. But Chris Barrett is always in the chat holding it down. TJ Slabdragon Watson, one of our favorites of all time. We love you, TJ. So glad to see you. Old Wolf 65, what's up, buddy? You said what's up to me, so I'm glad to say what's up to you in person. Yeah, sorry we couldn't check the chat earlier. Caleb, Comic Smurf Murphy, I owe $1 million to because he saved my life with this whole entire Hangouts live stream YouTube incident. I messaged him last night if he can give me like step-by-step directions, and he's totally came through and helped me out along the way, as well as you, John, towards the end. So yeah, thank both of you guys very much for making this possible, or else we would have been without a paddle, you know. See what else is still here hanging out. Joe 47771. What is up, my dude? And Perry Comics. Perry Comics had a great show earlier too. Airboy the Barbarian. What's going on, bro?
Perry's the guest on the book club tonight, so we got Perry in about 20 minutes or 15 minutes. We'll be over there.
Sweet. Yeah. After Comic Con, make sure you go over. Is it on your channel, John, or is it on White Whales?
Alec is hosting tonight.
Okay. All right.
White
so after here, we're all going to go over to White Whale's channel, and we're going to see John and Alec and Perry talk about Jimmy Olsen, right?
Yep, indeed.
All right, cool. Also want to shout out Bear Island Comics. He's our dude. And Mr. Gretzky, what is up, my guys? And Comic Book Andy, what's good, dude? All right, cool. So that's the whole entire chat so far tonight. So yeah, I'm seeing what else I read today. I really wanted to read Collapser by the new #1 from Young Animal. I believe
that Perry was very excited about that. Yeah, the like black.
Yeah, Gerard Way's brother, Mikey Way. Yeah, Gerard brother from My Chemical Romance and father of Young Animal. His brother Mikey Way wrote a comic called Collapser. So I really want to check that out. Also on DC, I read Batman 75. Very bizarre. It's the first issue of City of Bane. All the villains are policemen, and it's just kind of a weird. It's an interesting take, but
except for Two-Face, he's a holdout.
Yeah, he's rebelling against the City of Bane, and so he's paying the price for it too. Everyone kind of, are jumping on him to capture him, and you still have Batman, but it's the father, Bruce Wayne's father from Flashpoint as the Batman. So and then Batman collapsing randomly with some weird monk guy there to stab him in the throat. I don't know. It's just pretty bizarre. I'm not sure if I don't know. It's an interesting premise, but I wish it was executed better. But the art is fantastic. The art is amazing. You see Hush is in there for whatever reason.
Yeah, the art is. I think the art's been pretty stellar all along. But yeah, I agree. It's really great in this issue.
Yeah, this one too, in particular, it's like two of the best artists from the past that he's had the whole entire run working together in their combined mixed media of art. So it's worth checking out alone just for the art. So good. But story-wise, not really feeling it. Justice League number 28 is really good too. The art was hit or miss. Some panels were kind of like, it looks like they kind of rushed through it, and other panels are like really detailed and nice. So if you pay attention to the art in Justice League, you get that kind of juxtaposition. It's kind of off-putting at sometimes, but otherwise, the story is still really good. They're continuing the Lex Luthor kind of ruling over the world, giving the offer to everyone else. And he, at the end, spoiler alerts, I guess, he takes over Martian Manhunter's body to combine into his to become like the ultimate personification of a human being, or I guess a being in general. What his idea of the, I guess, a being of the universe in Perpetua's mind would be. But yeah, still interesting stuff. I love Justice League. It feels like a crisis event that's like ongoing and not a miniseries. So it's really cool, worth checking out. We talked about Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen, which we're going to see on White Whale's channel. On to Marvel Comics, Age of X-Men Omega #1. Finally, the ends and the book ends to everything that's happened in the past with Age of X-Men. Comes to this, and it's pretty much just X-Men explaining that he, created this whole entire world, his utopia for everyone, and no one wants it, and him trying to keep everything together is tearing himself apart. And so, his world ends pretty much, and everyone goes back into the regular universe. And this was pretty much just not even like an alternate dimension, but a whole entire another realm that disconnected from everything else. They clarified that. And then in Magneto, part of him stays in the end to maybe create their own utopia together. So very interesting. So it's kind of open-ended towards the end, but they also include the introduction, reintroduction of all the X-Men back into the Marvel universe in Uncanny X-Men by Rosenberg, and it was his last issue. I highly recommend Uncanny X-Men. It's really good. I've enjoyed it. There's been deaths like every single issue in Uncanny X-Men. Really crucial too with some characters. Today, we lost one of my favorite characters that I liked in the X-Men universe, so it was heartbreaking to see him go. Hopefully, he'll come back again. I think he will in Hickman's upcoming version. But
a lot of people said that this Uncanny Run has gotten really good at the end here.
Yeah, it was very good, man. I highly recommend it. And it was really cool to see everyone meet up together finally. Like, oh, you're alive. Oh, you're alive. And everyone's back together. So, yeah, Hickman's run continues on, starts next week. And they gave a little preview, too. Today, I think you're on your LCS. They had a little big little interviews with, like, the artist and writer. And there's like a really cool little booklet you can pick up at your local comic book store of a preview of the upcoming X-Men.
So it's House of 10 or whatever that starts officially next week?
Yeah, House of X and Powers of 10. I'm not sure which one comes out first. I want to say House of X comes out first. And I think at the end of Uncanny, or it might have been in the preview book I read. They gave, of course, I think it was a preview book. They gave a preview of House of X and Powers of 10, both stories, each little samples. I mean, the art was really, really good. The art was incredible, and then the story is really intriguing because you're trying to understand what's going on. You saw Professor Xavier with he has like the head bubble that's on the cover of House of X, so that's Xavier, which makes you want to read like the early stuff of Astonishing X-Men, because I'm pretty sure Xavier was in there. I'm not sure how he came back into the Marvel universe, so I kind of want to like read that and catch up on that first before I go into Hickman's run. I just want to understand things in their own context. So
there's so much backstory in X-Men. It can be really daunting. Oh, yeah. There's so much stuff going on.
Yeah, I mean, Hickman has a job in front of him. It's just like there's so many characters and so many things you can do. But apparently, I mean, it has a lot of hype. I mean, I love everything Hickman has done in forever. So I just can't wait to read it. Daredevil, I just started, didn't get to finish it. That was also came out today. It's been amazing. Immortal Hulk number 21 was really cool. There is massive deaths, John, in Hulk 21. Yeah, it is.
That's a sign of a good Hulk issue. It's gotten really so between the Green Door storyline, like Hulk in Hell, and the newest stuff. It was a little weak, but the newest stuff has been excellent. All the stuff with Bushwhacker, and it was so good.
Oh yeah. Yo, shout out to the Great Legend. He's in the chat. Always good to see the Great Legend. Love the Great Legend. And you got to get him while we can, here on the YouTube. He's always going live. He used to go live all the time. I wish he would go live again all the time. He's retired and taking a good break. We love you, Legend. Always good seeing you. Also, Invaders. I plan to read Invaders. That's one of my most underrated books today in Marvel is Invaders. It has an old school feel with Captain America and Namor and the original, Flaming Torch. He's a robot, like an android, not Johnny Storm. Very cool stuff, and it's really has an old feel, but like a new spin on it. So I highly recommend Invaders. Also, Loki number 1. We talked to Daniel Kibblesmith tonight. Awesome. I had a really fun time reading that. Oh, sorry, John.
Jason, I gotta jump out.
Okay.
I gotta get into my other show.
Awesome. All right, John. Yeah, we'll see you in a little bit at White Wells channel. Thanks for hanging out, bro. Thanks for helping out, man. It's awesome.
Out.
All right.
So I'm cutting.
Yeah, cutting out. All right, John. Thank you for joining us, buddy. Always good seeing you, man. And we're gonna watch you on White Wells channel a little bit to talk about Jimmy Olsen book. To continue on, other stuff I recommend. Punisher Annual number 1 came out today, and it's not written by Rosenberg. It's written by someone else. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna read it or not. I probably will because I love the character so much. But Silver Surfer Black number 2 was really good. I like this issue 2 better than issue 1. I feel it was more compelling and interesting, more action going on. And then Spider-Man Life Story number 5 out of 6. I'm waiting until the story is over on number 6, and then I want to read all of them. I think I'm on issue 2 or 3 when I dropped off, but I hear nothing but great things, and I want to read them all continuously. Because most miniseries that are like 5 issues or 6 issues, I'll wait till they're done, and then I'll kind of just breeze through them all. I feel like you get more out of them, and it's more memorable. And then we also have Uncanny X-Men with 22. We talked about that a little bit. My favorite book on the shelf, Gideon Falls number 15, came out today, and I definitely plan on reading that. And then Little Bird issue 5 out of 5. That series is finished up, so I'm really looking forward to reading Little Bird. I heard nothing but great things. And also Port of Earth number 12. I really enjoyed that when it came out, but I have to catch up on that. I heard that is also got picked up for a show or a movie. So check out Port of Earth on Image Comics. And then, of course, Vampirella number 1 also from Christopher Priest, which we talked about earlier today. But yeah, dude, thank you all for joining us and hanging out for us for so long. Great Legend. Hey, thanks. Thank you, Legend. Thank you very much. TJ, thank you also as well. Caleb, my man, Mr. Gretzky, everyone, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We had a good time. Hopefully we can do more interviews. If you like seeing interviews on this channel, give us a thumbs up. Hit that thumbs up button, and maybe recommend some people in the comment section after the video is uploaded and say, hey, I'd like to see you interview this person next, and we'll hit them up. We'll see what happens. Also, don't forget to make your video for the Comic Core contest. I'm not sure when the date is ending. It's got to be real soon, sometime soon, if you haven't made a video yet. But if you're unaware of the Comic Core contest, Comic Core is bringing someone to Baltimore Comic-Con to hang out with us and party with us and stay in the same house as us. So it's going to be a good time. And there we also have a booth, and we're going to be doing more interviews there at the Comic-Con. So it's going to be a fantastic time for everyone. But yeah, thanks for joining us. I'm Comicsmith Explained, aka Jason. Find me on Facebook and Instagram. It's mostly just comic book memes. And that's it. All right, guys. Later.